There's a place called Broncos Avenue where Amir will sit and talk at you. Bo Nix is the starter and it feels so right. Sleeping on him and we're gonna fight. No, you might be curious. I am not the lead singer of Yellow Card. My name's Mario Vitanzi. We are with Amir Farrell from Broncos Ave and Patrick Quixote.
That was so fucking cringe.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up.
There's ever been a better intro for you, Amir, I would love to see it. And I just want to point out that I'm probably the only person in the Broncos podcast space that would not only sing to you and for you, but give you your own lyrics for a song. So we got that out of the way. You're welcome. Really quick, for if there's anybody out there who might be living under a rock that doesn't know who you are and what you do, I want you to introduce yourself, pump yourself up, gas yourself up, tell everybody what you do, what you're from, everything that you want to share, man. Open space. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to pump myself up by any means, like to be humble, but my name's Amir Farrell. I write for Predominantly Orange since like March of 2023. Also own Broncos Avenue on all platforms. You guys can obviously it started all on Instagram and then kind of expanded to YouTube for the podcast, post like daily shorts over there and whatnot. And we're over on TikTok, Twitter. That's kind of like more of like opinionated space for me, but I mean that's really it. Just been covering the Broncos since 2018, but more like not really professionally, but been writing since like I said last year. Been kind of doing like the fan page thing though since like 2018. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. That's how everybody knows me. I get called Avenue more than I get called my own name, so that kind of says about how people know me. So.
Do you have a preference on what you would like to be called?
Hey man, you can call me whatever you want, dude. I'm just glad to be here. I mean, Amir is fine, but
don't give Pat that kind of green light. Pat has a sick mind.
Instantly bit his lip. I mean, that was a little creepy. I'm not gonna lie. Except for Pat, everyone else can call me.
What you got, Pat?
Bro, I've seen Amir get called some wild shit in those group chats. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god!
But no, man, there's
a lot of eggplant emojis that go up.
A lot of eggplant emojis,
and you can see why.
It's pretty wild. But no, man, I'm happy that you could join us tonight. Absolutely love your page. Been loving your page, you know that.
That's Broncos IG page on the World Wide Web. That's for true.
Hands down. But no, man, I think you're probably one of the best in the game right now, and I'm just glad you're here with us. So I'm ready to kick it. Let's go.
Hey, thank you, man. You know the love is reciprocated, especially the two of you. You guys have always been showing support since the beginning, so I appreciate that.
Always, though.
Glazing is over, at least for the three of us.
Not yet.
Instead,
we ain't get started yet.
Okay, maybe I might speak too soon. Why don't we redirect the glazing to where it rightfully belongs in Bo Nix? I really thought when I talked earlier today, I really thought okay, just chill. All right. We're trying to do a thing here. It's a podcast. You've been a part of it a few times. It's really popular. Anyway,
you get my shtick.
Really thought that Sean Payton would do us a favor and name Bo Nix the starter, because anybody who's paid any modicum of attention knows he's the starter. And Sean was, he's dragging it out. He's like, I don't want it to seem like he was being handed anything. And that's fine. Like, I appreciate that. I respect that. And one of the things that he said, I'm going to get your guys' take on this in terms of like maybe why he's not making this announcement. He compared it. He's like, the cornerback position, that battle's still going on. How would it look if I named Riley the starter or named Damari the starter? It's like, I'm just going to address this real quick. Bo Nix has actually proved repeatedly, definitively, that he is the best quarterback in the room. Riley Moss, Damari Mathis, Levi Wallace, there's not a clear-cut winner. Those guys are all going to be playing in the third preseason game to figure out who's going to be opposite of Pat Surtain. So, Amir, I'm going to ask you first, why is Sean Payton giving us blue balls? Why can't he just anoint the Denver Broncos savior right now?
I mean, we're talking about quarterback, right? Not corner.
Yeah.
Quarterback. I mean, Bo Nix. I mean, he's obviously going to be the guy. I mean, we all know it's inevitable. We've especially that interview that came out with Diane Rossini.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the best
Awesome
interviews.
interview.
Honestly, the best interview regarding Sean Payton I've seen ever. But I mean, we all know it's coming. The reason I feel like it's taking this long is just because I can't remember who mentioned this, but I mean he's so old school. He's not gonna give it like right away to like how Washington already handed it to Jane Daniels. Caleb literally got it. I think literally the day he was drafted. He's kind of. He's setting out this plan and these milestones for Bo Nix to hit in order to earn that. He's not going to just hand it to him. And honestly, I like that he's doing that. I know he's a 12th overall pick, but I mean that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. He's got to earn that. He's got to show it to the rest of the team. I mean, how would it look if he just came in right away with Jarrett Stidham, who's been in the NFL 5 years now? Zach Wilson has 21 starts, and he just gives it to Bo Nix right away. I like this approach that he has to earn it, especially when guys in the room actually have the experience already to be starting in this offense.
Amir, you're in the know. What can you tell us about this Vagisil Burgundy? Gross name, by the way. Bo Nix hasn't been named the starter yet because Mario Vitanzi has made a late push for QB1. Sources tell Let's Talk Broncos. I have no idea who that is in the LTB chat. First of all, change your name.
The source would be me. The source would be me.
I mean,
Pat's obviously the source.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a more benefit or more important source than whatever that name was. But yeah, I mean, I would believe it honestly. The way Zach Wilson was playing early in camp, I wouldn't be surprised Mario would be too ahead of him. But no, Zach Wilson's been playing better as of late. But honestly, that username itself was the most interesting thing I read there. So
wow, it was a little startling. Yeah, low bar. Pat, let me ask you this. So I think we know why he hasn't named a starter. Like Amir touched on it. He's old school. He wants to be absolutely sure. The moment has to be right. So just out of curiosity, and then Pat, you go first, and then Amir, I want to get your thoughts on this. Is there anything you would have liked to see from Bo Nix in these first two preseason games that he did not show you?
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think first and foremost, more of the timing shots. I think the anticipatory throws. So there were a couple that stood out, and I watched. I don't know if both of you have watched it, but I watched the QB School breakdown today as well, and it kind of reiterated that there were a couple of throws where he probably could have hit a deep shot, but he didn't. And the play still ended up being positive, which is fine. It feels weird that we're nitpicking positive plays instead of saying, oh my God, he didn't make the throw and he got sacked for a 5-yard loss, or he fumbled the ball or threw an interception. So it's just it's a super nitpicky thing, but yeah, probably more of those, timing and rhythm throws, but everything else has been just so damn clean and efficient. Like Frankie just said, I'd say a willingness to push the ball. Hasn't taken the high and a high low yet. Yeah, that's literally exactly right. And that's that. If that's the only criticism that we have, if that's the only thing that we're nah, this is probably keeping us. I'm fine with that. I'll take that every day, because I'd rather have the guy who's going to make the safe decision and going to make the right decision, and keep those shorter downs and just move the sticks like he was doing in that game. I think everybody wants the quarterback that's going to hit those deep shots or take the big gamble, push the ball down the field all of the time. But that kind of quarterback doesn't really succeed that well in this league in the majority of cases, right? They're few and far between. So give me the guy who's safe, who's operating the offense, who doesn't turn the ball over, and makes smart decisions. I'll take that 9 times out of 10. And that's what Bo has shown. So
what about you, Amir? Anything that you would have liked to see? Because we know he looks good. He's efficient. He's in control. Yeah, he's banned. I don't care.
What happened? I can't see.
You're a savage for that. Oh my God.
It's just a certain person that made me feel very uncomfortable, who every once in a while sneaks into the chat and he gets
Timmy.
banned. Okay, if you want to shadow watch
Going to the other
and be
account.
creepy on your own time, that's fine. But you make me aware of it, you're gone. Okay, you made me really uncomfortable. I don't want to talk anymore about it. It's fine. We could address it at another time. Is there anything, Amir, that you would have liked to see Bo Nix do? Is there anything they could have done where you're like, man, it was perfection?
Aside from what Pat mentioned, which was a great point. I mean, a little bit in that Colts game, there was a few plays I saw he like bailed from a clean pocket, but he still made the throw. So I mean, it's like what Pat said. Like, there's still positive plays, but like he could have been a little bit better in structure in that Colts game. Honestly, in this last game though, like I don't know. I still haven't. I'm not gonna lie. I still haven't watched the all 22. I need to. But like just from what I saw like live, I don't know, man. It was like, there was hardly any. I mean, like, he was 8 of 9 for like 80 yards and a touchdown. So I mean, besides like like being undisciplined and stepping in front of the line of scrimmage on that one play, where I mean, literally besides that, like you said, we're nitpicking at this point. Like, he's been great, man. I'm not gonna really bash on him too much at all.
Nix picking, one would say.
Yeah, that might be
That was awful.
Let's hope that there aren't
Terrible.
too many Knicks picks. Frankie said a slight concern that once the real bullets start flying, that his quick time to throw would become an issue. Shut up, Frankie. Nobody asked you.
We're
not doing it. No.
Stop.
We're not doing the Frankie Debbie Downer stuff today.
Stop.
Okay,
No,
Franklin.
that's a valid thing.
No, not to me. I don't want to hear it. This is a glazing session. You guys both said your thing. Frankie has said three things.
Frankie does bring up something. He said, don't remember seeing him given the shot to make checks at the line. There were a couple times where he did. There were a couple times where he was directing traffic at the line of scrimmage. I can't remember which plays exactly, but I did see it a couple of times.
All the good plays. All the really good plays.
One that I would be curious to see is that backside dig shot that he had to Sutton, because that was a full slide protection. And that's usually, they'll either call that, they'll call it in the play, but normally that'll be a line of scrimmage thing. So that would be interesting to see. But there were a couple of times where I saw him checking, pointing out which guys to take. The chip, where they called, I think it was Hank, where he had the big throw to Tim Patrick for the first down. That was definitely a Knicks move because they had double chips on the outside. He moved the running back up, so they got into empty. That's a Knicks thing. So it's positive to see. But Frankie brings up a good point. He hasn't seen a ton of pressure. So that's something that, I would still like to see. Is how can he handle more exotic pressures? That's why I kind of would want him to play in the Arizona game. Jonathan Gannon's
it's like a couple series
at him. Yeah, Gannon's going to throw some shit at him. Maybe, I don't know, but like if anyone would, it's probably going to be Gannon. So yeah, I'd like to see him play, but that is something that would be a little worrisome going into the season, especially against a Mike McDonald defense. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Speaking of a little bit worrisome, and I'll start with you, Amir. What have you seen from the preseason? And granted, like it's being said in the chat, you take preseason with a grain of salt, but at the same time, there are 15 guys who are fighting for a job right now. What has been worrisome to you from what you have seen? It's like, Bo Nix obviously looks great. It's been great to see Tim Patrick back out there. Bo and Cortland seem to have a really nice connection. There's been a lot of good. Jonah Ellis, another guy that stands out. What is worrying you the most that you're seeing in these first two preseason games? Like, what's something that they really need to tighten up by week 1 in Seattle?
That's a great question. I mean, penalties are obviously a big issue in that first game. They got to be more disciplined. Obviously Sean Payton harped on that after the first game. I believe they reduced them a little bit, in week 2 against Green Bay, but that's got to, because it feels like every year that's been kind of a thing with the Broncos. They start off a ton of penalties from week 1 on. Granted, we're under a much, more experienced coaching staff, but yeah, I would say penalties. Position wise, like, I think Luke Wattenberg is going to be good, but I've said for weeks now, like, I felt like safety and center were like the two positions, and cornerback too. Those 3 positions, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like it's looking good against like second and third stringers, but when it comes, regular season, how are these? How is a starting safety tandem good? Like Brandon Jones might start the season on IR. Like is Devon Key ready to start at safety against NFL starters like a Seattle offense week 1? Like that's got to be a question. Is Luke Wattenberg ready to start against or
Right.
very talented Seattle defensive line?
Right.
Like those are big questions. I mean,
Bullies.
Riley Moss. I mean, that Seattle wide receiver core, is Riley Moss ready for that challenge? We still haven't seen him against like some real like tough wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 players. Obviously, PS2 is going to have more of like a shadowing the wide receiver 1 type role this year. But yeah, those three, and then penalties are like my biggest concerns going into the year.
What do you think, Pat? What have you seen where you're like, that's not great?
Yeah, I agree with what Amir said. I think center is probably still that position that I don't think we have a really clear answer for. Knowing the history of Wattenberg and his play against like stronger interior guys, that makes me pretty fucking concerned for week 1 because they're going to have to go against Byron Murphy and that dude is going to push his shit in.
He's real good.
Yeah.
Pat, you and I talked about the Broncos potentially drafting him if the right quarterback didn't fall. You and I were pounding the drum for them to take Byron Murphy in the first round.
Because he's just ridiculously strong. Yeah, Leonard Williams too. Frankie said Draymond's going to be in that mix as well. It's a crazy talented front seven, and with Mike McDonald calling those defensive plays, that's going to be really tough. He's going to throw a lot at whoever the center is, and then I think safety is going to be one of those positions that we're going to be looking at probably the waiver wire as well as corner coming down the pipe because I don't think Riley Moss can hang with the Seattle wide receivers right now as it stands. I'm not going to put Damari Mathis out there. I can tell you that. And we don't even know what Levi Wallace looks like in game action right now because he hasn't seen the field. So that's going to be a really tough position to evaluate. I think that there's some hope at the safety position. Kedrick Smith has had a couple of good games. I know Frankie's not super high on the tipped interceptions, but that interception he had in this last game was not a terrible read. But honestly, JL Skinner has showed quite a bit of promise in these couple of games. I think that it makes me feel a little safer about that position, but not completely safe. So yeah, center, corner, and maybe safety. Overall O-line depth, honestly, is one of my biggest fucking concerns. They were so bad against
the starting line has looked good. They've kind of covered up Wattenberg's shortcomings.
Bowles needs to get his shit together, though. Bowles needs to get his shit together. He has not. I don't know, man. He has not.
Let me ask you this, Pat. What are you seeing from Garrett when you're breaking down the film?
Dude, I see a guy that's kind of reverting back to getting tall, and then you're not utilizing his leverage well, not getting that anchor back. Man, that Colts game was probably the worst one. And then there were a couple times this last Sunday where it just didn't look very good. But I'm hopeful. Like I hope they can turn it around. I know this is a big year for Garrett. It's contract year. You want to get paid. Play better, play good. Like you have a chance to be like you have a chance.
It's that simple, right?
To change the tide. Yeah, you have a chance to change the tide. You've been talking about how you're one of the best left tackles in the league for, I don't know, when did he get the Pro Bowl? 2019?
2020. 2020 was the All-Pro year when there was no crowd.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those would be my biggest concerns going into week
1. On the other end of that, who has someone that has really surprised you? So, Amir, who have you seen that maybe a lot of people didn't know kind of going into training camp? Maybe you didn't even know, like definitely not a household name. And from what you've seen, because I know you throw clips all the time on Broncos app. You were would go to your page every day because that was the only place that I could actually find training camp content. You're fantastic, by the way, and so handsome. Anyway, from what you've seen, because I know you've seen all the footage, I know you've gotten a lot of information and a lot of notes. Who is someone that has really come out of nowhere and surprised you? and is either going to be like surprised to make this team or like at least start with the practice squad, but it's someone that no one knew coming in?
I mean, immediately I think of, I mean, he's not, a fan favorite by any means because he's an offensive lineman, but he's mentioned in the chat. I think Matthew Pert, I mean, after the game he just had, like, he's going to be like our really valuable like swing tackle. And you talk about the lack of skill in that, offensive line depth. He's going to be one of those guys you can rely on because, like, let's be honest, Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey have had their share of injury issues. He's been a very underrated pickup. Like, not a lot of people look too much into that during training camp because, I mean, it's just training camp. But, like, in game, we're getting a good look of, like, what these guys look like in the trenches. He's been a pleasant surprise. Devon Vele, like, he's a 7th-round pick, but, like, the dude is a baller, and I've been saying it multiple times on our pod. He's gonna steal reps from like Troy Franklin and like veterans on this team. Like I see it like end of year, like he's gonna have like an actual like solidified role in that receiving room. I truly believe that. I mean, he's one of those guys where like Tyler Beatty, like every time he touches the ball, it's like he's making plays. Like I would say those guys have been really, really pleasant surprises. Like some people didn't even think he'd make the team. Now he could be like a wide receiver 5 or maybe even wide receiver 4 at some point in the season.
Badgersill Burgundy, still don't like that, says Lavelle Bailey is the only correct answer. Pat, before you answer, Pat, is that true? Do you agree with that? And then give me the people that you would like to answer.
First of all, only correct answer? No, it's not. It is Vele. Vele, if it was going to be anybody, it's definitely Vele. 7th-round pick. He's fucking 39 years old out there just balling. And like it's awesome to see. It's a great story. It really is. And I think like for him to be a 7th-round pick and just come out and give 150% every single day. He's making highlight catches. He's getting like first quarter reps at the start of the preseason. Like that's unheard of. Any other 7th rounder is not going to get that same type of hype. But this guy has worked his ass off. And to your point, Amir, like getting reps over Troy Franklin, that's huge because that's a guy that they spent resources on to go up and get. You would expect that guy to come in a little more hungry, right? Because the team wanted you. They made a point to do that. And for Vele to just come out and just steal the show from him, I absolutely love it. I think that it adds another element to this wide receiver core and to this offense. Like this is yet another type of Tim Patrick kind of guy, someone who's just going to do the dirty work day in, day out, get to the sticks, fight his ass off as a blocker. Love to see it. That's definitely the guy that I have just been so impressed with day in and day out. And on the defensive side, this might be a hot take, but Tillman, dude, that guy is a absolute beast. I think it's gonna be tough for him to make this team with how Jonah Ellis has been playing. But fuck, dude, that guy is an absolute animal, and I want that guy.
You almost have to keep that guy around. Like he's one of those few guys that has really popped.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder because he's spent the last couple of years in like the USFL and UFL and produced consistently to the point where you would assume that he would be getting calls from NFL teams or workouts. So it's surprising that he wasn't on a roster yet. Fanatic Dak wants to know, and so Amir, we'll start with you, kick it to you, Patrick. Who's going to be a surprise cut? And Pat and I have actually discussed this, and I think we're in agreement, but I'll let you get first dibs here.
Are we?
Man, that's tough. I'm trying to think. I put out my 53-man roster prediction last night. Man, I don't know. Because, like, it's not really a surprise cut because we're all seeing it now. I've been saying it since before the draft. Samaje Perine's not making this team, but at this point, it's not really a surprise. I mean, I can't really think of anybody, to be honest with you. Like, corner, nobody, safety. Interior, I think they're keeping like 5-6 defensive linemen, 6 defensive linemen. I wide receiver. I mean, I don't even see. I still don't understand the whole Troy Franklin getting cut there. I mean, there's some people who genuinely like were messaging me thinking like that he doesn't deserve a spot on this team. Honestly, I got nothing. I can't really think like
who would like actually surprise you if they were cut. It would just kind of be like a
yeah. I mean, like name like a few people. Like I don't know. Like
I think like so after going back and watching this last game, this was one that was brought up, and I was kind of like hesitant about it. But Tremont Smith, who was like a key special teamer for us last year, I don't know. Damari Mathis, I watched him play gunner on special teams, and maybe that's his role now. Maybe that's his role as a rotational corner and a gunner on punt and special teams, because he was flying and he was staying in front of guys, and he was doing a decent job with his blocking, his hand placement. So I don't know. I think maybe that's like maybe Tremont Smith is the most surprising cut. But if that's it, like, damn, that's kind of crazy. Maybe a surprise trade. Who would be traded from this team right now that would like actually surprise you?
it wouldn't really surprise me.
Like a realistic.
The easy answer is Corey, right? Just because of
But dude, he's playing so well. I don't think
that's why it would be a surprise. I'm saying like that's my knee-jerk reaction, because we had heard so much about like him potentially getting traded. There were reports that, you know, they had a deal in place with Baltimore until Tim got hurt last year, and that they were shopping him up until the trade deadline last year. So that was kind of my knee-jerk reaction, and we're getting this a lot in the chat. I think it's Mathis. And the more I hear you guys talking about like Tremont Smith versus Damari Mathis, I don't know if both of those guys make that team, okay? You are going to have Pat Surtain. You are going to have Riley Moss. You're going to have Chris Abrams-Drain. You're going to have Levi Wallace. That's four cornerbacks right there. So are you keeping 6 corners and you're only going to use one as a special teamer, and Damari Mathis is probably best as a special teamer? So are we talking about like 2 guys at the bottom of the cornerback roster making it for special teams? I just don't see it. And I think if you look at where Damari Mathis like started as a rookie to the point where he was at the end of his rookie year, which was good, like started rough, improved, really showed promise, and then just a complete drop-off last year, comes back to his 3rd year. It's like, all right, now you have a legitimate chance to be the number 2 corner aside from Patrick Surtain. You know that you're going to get targeted a lot. You're going to have a lot of opportunities, and he looks the same. He looks the exact same. You look at where Riley Moss was last year compared to this year. It's a little scary thinking that he might be your number 2 corner. I'm sorry, I forgot Jaquan McMillan. That's an additional corner. That just kind of popped in my head. You're not keeping 7. I think that would be batshit crazy to keep 7 corners. So if we look at where Moss was last year to where he is this year, I think pretty substantial improvement. Damari Mathis is the same. So to me, I don't even know if for me it would be a surprising cut. Like, to me, it seems like a foregone conclusion that Mathis isn't going to make this team.
I mean, you ask any Broncos fan, they probably don't want him making the team. So
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, not to steer away from the corner conversation, but I thought Frankie brought up a really good point. Like, Ellis, I think he could very well like lead this team in sacks this year. That's not to say I think of the other guys lower. I just really think of Jonah Ellis that highly. What about the potential of moving like a Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper? I mean, you could get some really good value out of Jonathan Cooper. You draft him 7th, and you could get something higher than that.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good point. And
it would be a surprise for sure, because I think like he's still very serviceable, but with the way that Ellis has been playing, I mean, it's got to be one. I don't think it's going to be Browning. I think they might want to keep Browning around, but I don't know. I think Cooper's probably going to be that one. That's a good point.
Probably.
And we've talked about this, Pat, like unless something crazy happens where Cooper or Browning have a down year to the point where you can keep both of them like at their controlled costs, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the edge room is going to be much improved because the interior D-line is better. And Pat, we've talked about this ad nauseum. It's like the edge rushers are going to be better. And you're right. if you trade Coop, you are getting substantial return on investment because he was a 7th-round pick. And honestly, at this point, right now, as we see it, he probably has more trade value than Baron Browning just because Barron missed half the year. Now, when Barron finally did play, he was far and away the best edge rusher that they had. But if you were looking at value, like if we're going to trade somebody, I think Cooper would be the easiest choice because you can get a decent return on him. It's going to be a contract year. You're basically betting that Cooper is going to be better long-term, or Browning's going to be better long-term than Cooper.
Another one I wanted to bring up, aside, I mean, it's more on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Adam Trautman signed that 2-year deal, but like, I really like Nate Atkins, man. I don't know. I really like Nate Atkins. I don't think it'll happen, but I really like Nate Atkins.
Give me that dap. Come on, dog.
If I could get
my
in
boy.
the frame.
My boy.
What do we feel about Atkins? That. What do we feel about Atkins kind of playing that fullback role and then just letting Burton go?
No.
Because that's
absolutely not.
Around.
Absolutely not.
Why don't you like that?
Because Mike Burton is a certified dog. We are no.
And how many plays a game is he getting? Okay. How many plays a game is he getting?
Bro, look, it's not only just about the number of plays, it's about the quality of the plays when he's in. Sean Payton is
right, but if it's 5 plays a game that are real quality.
My brother in Christ, it's not just 5 plays a game. Are you kidding me?
6, 7.
Are you joking? No, we're gonna.
I'm asking you, how many games are you getting, or how many plays a game are you getting out of him?
Depends on what type of personnel we're running in, my dude.
I saw him on a milk carton last year because he went missing. They would have long stretches where he wasn't on the field.
My brother in Christ, you fucked up.
I want to like Burton.
No, you've angered the Burton high.
To give me a reason to like Burton.
Frankie, get his ass. Keep talking. Why wouldn't you want to keep Burton?
I said, give me a reason. Why?
Because he's one of your better run blockers. You're going to use him when they go I form, when they go strong, when they go weak, when they use him in the wing.
Like 5-6 times a game.
Oh my God.
He'll be really good for
Sean Payton also
a few plays.
Most of the time when they go empty, they'll have him in there. They'll be in 12 personnel or 21 personnel. And they'll be in empty, and they're using Burton as a wing.
Never played more than 12 snaps. Thank you, Jordan. 113 snaps.
I'll take that
on the entire season.
I'll take that.
And we want to keep again. I want to like Burton. I want to be a team that has a big fullback that just runs people over like it was the good old days, like Howard Griffith and Terrell Davis back in the 90s, okay? If we're going to have that kind of a fullback running game, my man, I am all for it. But if you are telling me that Burton has to make this team when he is routinely playing under 10 snaps a game and he had 113 on the season, not good value. Not doing a whole lot for the team. I don't give a shit what Frankie says. I don't care if Frankie's on a manic episode right now. I don't want to hear it. Burton actually has to do something tangible consistently for me to be like, you know what? Really glad we have Bart. And that's not an indictment on him. He's a really good fullback.
Also,
they did not use him well enough. I know
Jordan's
290 special team snaps.
Jordan's wrong. 189 offensive snaps, 129 blocking snaps. 104 of those were run blocking snaps. 24 of them were pass blocking snaps.
Thanks a lot, Jordan. No, it's 113. No. You're fake news.
No, I'm actually not. And that's not even including the special team snaps. 289 special team snaps. He is the fullback.
Stop. Okay.
He is the fullback.
We're done talking. You and I are done talking about Burton because this is one of the few things that we don't agree.
Dog. I love Nate Atkins though too.
Amir.
I love Nate Atkins though.
I'm with Pat on this.
How do you feel about that?
Hey, Mike follows me on Instagram, man. Who would I be to sit here and be like, yeah.
Nah. Mike's that dude, bro. Mike is nasty in the run game. There were a few plays where I was watching back from this last weekend Burton is a dog. I can't believe that, Mario. That's wild.
I'd be
You
shocked
know
they
what?
re-signed him to that.
Jordan is
That-
out here. Jordan
That
is
would be my
here
shock
blaming
cut.
PFF, and just add this to the list of reasons why I hate PFF. I'm going to go ahead and
That's why
stay
I'm using
stubborn,
PFF
though.
right now.
Listen, Patrick, I will tell you this right now.
Okay.
If during the course of the season,
Mhm,
Burton is making a noticeable difference in what he is doing,
mhm,
and by that I
mhm.
mean like he's being used correctly, consistently, I will text you right then and there, or I will call you and I will say, "Hey, you handsome bastard. I'm so glad that we have Burton. Thank God that Burton is on this team. You were right. I was wrong. You're very attractive. I'm not very good looking." I will say that shit to you.
We
But
could
until it
do a full
happens,
field read right now.
until
do
it
a full field read right
happens,
now.
keep me in the camp of thinking that it's unnecessary to have a fullback unless you're going to use the
Oh
fullback.
my God. Just say that, brother. Just say you don't. Never mind.
Don't like fullbacks if they're not being used. He's sitting his big ass
Run
on the
the
bench
god-
for the majority of the
my
game.
God. Dog, you're tripping.
Because I
You're
want the
tripping.
fullback to be used more.
So you're going to use Nate Adkins in that role when you could have both?
What do you need both for?
Special teams. You can use both of them in offensive sets. What are you talking about? If we go 22 personnel, good Lord.
Amir, are you keeping Burton and Atkins? Hold on. Amir, are you keeping Burton and Atkins? Let Amir get in.
I really see both sides, truly. I mean, putting Nate Atkins in at fullback, I just think in that role, Burton is better and more experienced. And they signed him to that 1-year deal for a reason. I mean, Sean Payton has a vision for him this year. I mean, if you were to move on from Adam Trotman, then Nate Atkins and, Mike Burton on this team, yeah, that makes sense. But I just don't see it happening, honestly. I think at the end of the day, I feel like Nate Atkins is going to be on the practice squad. They'll elevate him. So we'll see him. We'll see them both in the game anyways. He'll get elevated and probably eventually signed to the active roster.
We're gonna move on because this is the bane of my existence talking about fucking fullbacks and arguing about it. Okay. Predictions for Bo Nix stat wise. And keep in mind that the majority of these stats that we're gonna predict that Bo Nix accomplishes will be with Burton on the fucking sideline. So Amir, I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh man, I haven't even thought about this. I did change a little bit my interception stat total. I thought he was gonna throw for 9 this year. I'm thinking 6, honestly. I find it hard to believe he throws many interceptions. I feel like in terms of interception wise, he's gonna have an Aaron Rodgers type career, in my opinion. Something he's gonna be safe with the ball. It's something obviously Sean Payton highly values. I'm gonna say how many touchdowns did Russ throw last year? 26, to 8 interceptions. I'm gonna say
something like that.
I mean, I don't see it changing that much. I mean, the reason he did throw a lot of touchdowns is the defensive takeaways helped out the offense get the ball back in a lot of good, favorable field positions. I'm gonna say 24 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Yardage wise, 37 or 36, something like that.
What do you think?
That's pretty good. 37. I mean, shit.
I would take it.
Yeah.
I would absolutely take that.
Man, I think it's tough to say. I think the run game is probably going to be a little more prominent this year. I'm going to say high 20s. I'll say high 20s. Being optimistic, high 20s for touchdown. So let's say 28. I think that's reasonable. In the red zone, they're going to be able to utilize his arm in the red zone, I think. So I think some of his touchdowns will come from that. And then I'm going to go higher end. I think 6 is respectable, Amir, but I'm going to say 9. I'm going to say he stays under 10, but I'm going to say 9.
Single digit picks for a year I'll take that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with 11 or 12. It wouldn't shock me at all, but I think 28 touchdowns, let's say 9 interceptions. And then, we got to remember rushing touchdowns too. So I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, like 300-ish rushing yards, something like that.
Yeah,
This
that's not bad.
is getting me rock hard. I love this. Just the
Like gas
idea that
station
we
fuel
have a
kicking in.
competent quarterback who's going to throw for a lot of touchdowns and not a lot of interceptions, and also run for touchdowns, and also it's not Russell Wilson.
I
Big
get PJ
Daddy is excited.
Amir, let me ask you this question. Which Bronco who was already on this roster coming in is going to have a breakout season?
I mean, if he could stay healthy, give me Greg Dulcich any day.
Yeah.
Give me. I mean, he's so
That's
That would
talented.
be so much fun. It would just be fun.
But on the defensive side of the ball, I think PJ Locke could like legitimately like make the Pro Bowl this year. I'd like on the defense, he's gonna be like probably the best player besides PS2. Like
I'm glad that you brought that up, Amir, because I agree. And Pat and I have talked about how much we like PJ Locke on the show. And I think PJ is going to have his work cut out for him, because it's one thing to play the way that he did in the limited time that he had when you're next to Justin Simmons. Now, PJ Locke is the guy. He is the leader of that safety room. We still aren't positive who's going to start next. I'm like, we assume it's going to be Brandon Jones if he get his hamstring fixed in time. Is it going to be Devon Key? Is it going to be JL Skinner? PJ Locke is the only guy in that safety room that we definitively know he's the guy. And he's going to have his work cut out for him, because, like I said, he's not going to get to play with Justin Simmons. Playing with Justin Simmons on the back end is going to make you better. And so I'm really excited to see PJ Locke kind of take over this room, because mentally he has the fortitude to do it. Like, that's how he's built. I know you've done a show with him. I know him personally. It's like, that's how he's wired. He's wired very similarly to Justin, where he can lead the defense. I'm really excited to see him actually take over and do it.
He's gonna put up like Justin Simmons like type interception numbers, I think.
Ooh, you think so?
Damn.
Yeah,
That's
that role.
I like that. I like that.
So you're saying
bold.
like 5+, like minimum
Like,
5.
Like, give me like 5. I mean, dude, it limited snaps. He had how many interceptions last year? I mean,
like 3 or 4.
Exactly. I mean, imagine his numbers with a full year in the Justin Simmons role. Like, he's going to be so good. I mean, J-Mac, he's right too. He's going to be like the third best player probably on that defense. I mean, and to me, like J-Mac or Jaquan McMillan had that like breakout season already. But I do think, I think he's going to really like show the NFL like why he's like a top 5 nickel in this league.
Really, really good stuff here from Mike, trying to get us to fight again. We're not going to do that, Mike. Why don't you make a top 10 list of dumbest Broncos podcasts, and I'll help you out behind the scenes. That's what people want to see. We don't want to talk about the good.
You put this one
Mike,
at number 1. What are you talking about?
We want to talk about the top 10 worst. If you're not familiar with Mike Carmelini, he does these wonderful lists about all of the top people and podcasts and things just in general with Denver sports and the Broncos and everything. I've yet to be number 1 on any of these lists, which means they're rigged. It's fake news.
Amir.
I don't believe it at all. Mike is part of the radical left media that keeps trying to.
Amir, what is Marvin Mims' role look like this season?
Real quick, Mike, do a top 10 list of like the worst people. That's what people tune in to see now. I know you're running out of ideas. I want to know who the worst is. You can put me on it if you want.
Oh my gosh. Amir, what does Marvin Mims' role look like in the offense this year?
Man, that's like
that's a good question.
To me, that's the biggest storyline going into the year. I am like, you can ask me and Jordan, J-Mac, our co-hosts. We talk so much about this, like off the air. Like we thought he was gonna have the best, the best year by a wide receiver in this offense this year. I mean, you look at what he did at Oklahoma and how we can dial up plays for him with Bo Nix, like down the field. Like I don't know, yards wise, I feel like he could put up really good numbers this year. I don't know if something happened in camp or he's just like down, like below Josh Reynolds, below Tim Patrick. That's been the biggest shock to me. Even more than Troy Franklin. Like I thought he was going to have a real role this year. I just don't know if his route running has been as good as those other guys, or maybe blocking wise could be a big factor. But Yeah, I don't know what his role is, honestly. Like, he's probably, like, realistically not going to get – maybe he comes on later in the season, but I don't know. It's really confusing to me.
What if I posed a conspiracy theory to you? Okay. And hear me out. Marvin Mims is really, really good with the ball in his hands. Okay. And we haven't seen him used a ton on like motions during the preseason. They haven't really shown a ton, but what if they're kind of just playing the patient game and waiting until the regular season to break out Marvin Mims? And then you have Bo Nix, who really, I mean, that's what everybody was saying is he's the check down merchant, right? The screens and everything was designed for him at Oregon, and that's what he ate off of. What if they're designing some of those plays for Marvin Mims and they're just waiting to see what works in the preseason?
Dude, if any coach is going to do that, Sean Payton. That would be like week one, just 75-yard bomb, just like first play. That would be classic Sean Payton, bro. Like some people have
they
that
just hit Marvin Mims on like a wheel route or something insane.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's also those play action concepts that Sean has that they really didn't hit that much last season, for whatever reason. And I don't think
people believe that they were gonna run last year.
Yeah, I mean, fuck the play action with Bo Nix, who can sell the play action so well. Yeah. You get Marvin Mims on a double move downfield. That's a bomb just waiting to happen. So I could see it.
It makes sense.
I don't think that's that big of a conspiracy theory at all. Like, we were literally talking about how Sean Payton is old school. He was discussing about like how he was talking to LaFleur about how they wanted to destroy all of their practice tapes because they don't want it leaking or don't want anything getting out. They're playing everything really close to the chest. And like what we were saying earlier, where, we'd like to see Bo Nix take shots. And I know there were people in the chat saying that's the one thing that I would like to see. Bo Nix throw the ball down the field. Like, not these chunk plays like 15, 20, 25 yards. I'm saying like downfield. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's a reason. Maybe they don't want to tip their hand. Maybe he wants to keep everything close to the chest. And then they go into Seattle or, wait for week 2 against Pittsburgh and then really open it up because they're going to have very limited film on Bo Nix. They're going to watch a little bit of the Auburn, a little bit of Oregon. They're going to watch the preseason, and that's the advantage that you have with a rookie quarterback. You show too much of your hand and you put all that stuff out on film. Like, what if this is just the tip of the iceberg? I'm fully with you, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna throw for 400 yards week 1 easily by the first half.
All right,
as long as they don't attempt a 66-yard field goal at any fucking point of the game, I will be excited. I will be very happy.
Amir, what would your vision be?
I mean, that's a really good point, honestly. I mean, you look at the Colts game where they obviously had the design play out to him for I believe his first catch was a touchdown, something like that. They clearly have some sort of plan for him. That would be awesome for it to be like a surprise in just week 1. Like, I mean, just think about it. Like, Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims are like arguably like our best like deep threat, like dynamic type receivers. So like, why are they like even Troy Franklin? Like, I know the drops have been a little bit of an issue, so I could see with him, but like they're limiting their snaps so much, and like they're only showcasing them at the end of games. I don't know. It's also confusing to me, but that's one of the best theories I've heard with that receiver room. It would make me happy, honestly, that he's kind of like hiding them a little bit.
Yeah, because
Go ahead, Pat.
I was just gonna say, like, I think about like all those swing pass opportunities that they could have. I mean, we saw it. Like, you could easily put Marvin Mims and say like a Jaleel McLaughlin in the backfield, and run like double swing essentially, and pick one. Like, either one of them is going to be deadly with the ball in your hands. But there's lots of opportunities where they can get Mims going in motion, kind of like how Tyreek was used last year, and what they were doing down in Miami. Like, there's plenty of opportunities where you can use his speed to get an advantage, especially in like wide field situations. You can essentially just run bubble screen, or we would call it ghost screen, like out of the backfield, and boom, big yards. Just get the ball in Marvin Mims' hands somehow. So hopefully they install some of that before week 1.
Amir, is there anything else that you want to get off your chest? Any hot takes? Any pressing matters that you want to discuss while we have you here? And I appreciate real quick. I appreciate you giving us so much time. I know your pods are nice and clean and short and concise, and you fill a lot of great stuff into a short window. And I ramble, and I apologize, and thank you for your time. So while we got you here, what else do you want to get off your chest?
No, this pod was amazing. Thanks for having me on. Hot take wise, not really. I mean, record prediction, I've definitely been thinking a lot about it the last like 24 hours. It was 7-10 for me a couple weeks ago. I don't see this team losing less than 9 games. They're going to be a winning football team this season. I'd be very, very shocked if they weren't. Just because of the youth on that defense. I feel like the defensive line, interior especially, got much, much better. Jonah Ellis was a great addition. And you have your pillars, obviously, PJ Lodge, Quan McMillan, PS2. I think that'll be beneficial to the secondary. But most importantly, Bo Nix. I mean, it's just a different feeling and an atmosphere with him at quarterback. Guys relate to him more. The chemistry seems more improved, getting the ball out extremely quickly. Those are all like little things that I feel like are going to make us a winning football team this year, despite the schedule being harder. But aside from that, I mean, there's nothing much else I need to say. I just like wrapping up that wide receiver stuff. I find it very hard to believe that Sutton, Reynolds, and Patrick are going to be like your three guys like all year, especially even like the beginning of the season. Sean Payne, like you mentioned, a really good point, Pat. He likes getting his like the ball in players' hands in like short to intermediate situations and do like even like yards after catch after that. Like it's not going to just be like your possession receivers, your contested catch receivers that are going to like have the most like they might have the most snaps, but like I feel like it's going to be a little bit more distributive with the other receivers on this team.
Yeah, and I think like that whole room is going to be so much more of a situationship type of room. Like they're going to use certain guys in certain situations. Josh Reynolds, great third down converter. One of the best in the league at it. You're just going to use him in those situations. Like not exclusively, but like you get what I mean. There's just so many situational ways. Football. Yeah, there's
everyone has
different ways to use all of these different guys. So that's a good point. Love it.
That's great stuff. Well, gentlemen, I think
got my brain going now, man. Like I'm ready to get the whiteboard out. Let's fucking draw some shit up.
Well, what do you got, Pat? Go ahead.
No. We've taken up enough time, but I'm just saying. Oh, dude.
All right. Thank you so much to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Man. Okay, my favorite play call in the world is flood. I absolutely love flood. But
is that why you wear capris?
What are you talking about? No, four verts always. Trips left or trips right, doesn't matter. Trips, four verts. Make sure that your wide receivers understand how to attack the safety leverage. Just honestly, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win. So trips left, trips right, four verts, max protect. Always.
You heard it here first. That is the Broncos' key to success. And if you didn't get it all, make sure you rewind it and watch it again. Pat dropping a delicious little nugget at the very end of the pod to keep you coming back for more. Thank you so much to Amir Farrell. Amir, you're the freaking man. I'm sad that I didn't get to see you camp this year, but hopefully we could link up here pretty soon. Pat, God, I miss your musk. I miss your scent. Really wish that you didn't live in Canada. And I don't even have my passport updated. I don't know when the next time is that I'm going to see you. Make sure you go follow Amir at Broncos. Is it at Broncos Avenue on Twitter or just Broncos
Ave, yeah.
So it's at Broncos Ave on Twitter and Broncos Avenue on Instagram. Like we said, the absolute best Instagram page for Broncos content. Nobody does it better than Amir Farrell, and nobody is better looking and more of a little sex pot than, well, I guess Amir. I was gonna say Patrick, but really the both of you. It's just
Sorry, I'm drawing.
it's unbelievable. I can't even focus because I'm just looking at you. We're just gonna have to end the show because I just can't do this anymore. Bye, everybody. Love you. Goodbye. Have a good one.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup.